all you wonderful souls. You know, as I mentioned in my intro, I created this channel to chronicle the life of a Starseed walk-in. And I've attempted to do that throughout each of these videos that I've created, sharing those obstacles and triumphs experienced along the way. The idea being that there would be others out there in the world who might be feeling or experiencing similar encounters and situations. And no one wants to feel alone. So it's been my goal to be here as a teammate or companion to your own journey. I mention this because lately my own journey has reached a novel stage which has brought along with it new information. Yet the more I learn, the more questions pop up until my mind is spinning with speculation and what ifs, bringing up conjecture after conjecture, until I wonder if I'm even really here in this body, or am I just a floating awareness stuck in a sort of contemplative bubble? Anyway, I played with the idea of presenting some of these ideas with you, sort of as if you and I were sitting on the couch with a cup of tea, philosophizing over the latest theory that's managed to percolate to the surface of our collective minds. First off, you could ask any of my family members or friends from over the years about my intense annoyance with the design that the so-called etheric architect has come up with for the recycling of souls, lifetime after lifetime. I can't tell you how many times I have muttered under my breath that this galactic engineer must have made a mistake when deciding what planet Earth was going to be. I mean, seriously, this whole reincarnation thing is ridiculous. Something is definitely wrong with this picture from my personal perspective. And frankly, these ideas are right now only sort of a philosophical mind walk. And a few of the concepts don't necessarily even fit within some of my own experiences. However, that said, to begin with, if the developer of this realm were indeed a benevolent being, why would it create a world where you are directed to come back over and over again, and each time with no memory of any of those other lives? So the human story is that we are born, and as we grow and evolve, we learn and gain knowledge along the way. We learn how the world works, and hopefully along the way discover how to live our best life within that certain set of parameters. Ideally, we grow from each experience and become a better version of ourselves. In any case, in any lifetime, we gain much wisdom along the way until finally, before we die, most people are starting to really get it, whether in an opportunistic understanding or in an unselfish and kind mastery. You know, the old deathbed scenario where all is forgiven and we eventually choose peace. And of course, this doesn't happen in every case. I'm just generalizing here, but I've worked with hospice patients for nearly 10 years now and have been so moved by their eventual serenity, their final acceptance of what is, what their life has provided them. It's as if most of them have reached a higher frequency of insight and have really become quite enlightened, awakened to a higher aspect of self. They seem to know instinctively where they're going, and the majority just kind of flow peacefully into that transition. It's amazing to see. It's very touching. So, well, this is the idea of being a human on Earth. You're faced with set after set of circumstances, and over time, commonly acquire the knowledge of how to best handle each of these circumstances. You eventually learn that resistance is futile, as it is said, and have reached the intent to learn the skills it takes to resolve each issue, along with the resolve to forgive, both yourself and any other. And this expands your soul. You evolve as you live. You become kinder and more compassionate. And by old age, you've probably learned not to lose your temper and to more carefully choose your words so as not to hurt another's feelings. You've learned to focus on another's needs as much or more than your own. You've learned to love and to serve the greater good. You are awakened. And then you die. Okay, now that would be fine if it weren't for this so-called veil of forgetfulness. So when you decide to come back, to reincarnate, you will have forgotten everything you learned, and you'll be starting over again from the same place you began last time. So I ask you, how does this make any sense? Even in the simulated world of computer gaming, the player's representation, the avatar, learns and grows each time they play through remembering what's going to happen when they round that corner or they open that door. And once they've been eaten by the monster or killed by the sword, they choose a different route next time, evolving throughout the game. They learn the strategy that allows them to escape the bad guys or win the battle. But here on this planet, with its bizarre recycling program, it's like you can't escape. Why would this be happening in a benevolent universe? Who is going to gain in this scenario? It wouldn't be the returning soul. So what's up? Okay, I could answer this question in several ways. None of them, though, in my opinion, suitable for soul expansion or eventual ascension, unless you choose not to reincarnate. It's cool if you've reached true ascension and are not coming back to Earth. So why would it make sense to work this way? Well, if this is, as Shakespeare said, that all the world is a stage and all the men and women merely players, then I could kind of buy into the idea of coming here into the game without any previous knowledge, just for the challenge of the game. We all love mysteries, and there's nothing more exciting than a good movie or even a good computer game where you learn to go up the levels until you're able to triumph over all the obstacles. This I would understand. The game wouldn't work if you'd already accomplished it. Then, why play? It would be like getting the answers to the test ahead of time. So, where's the challenge in that? So, is this just a game? Well, if you're asking me, I would say yes. But it seems to me that once you've played it, why would you want to come back and play it again and again? Because this earth is a harsh and lonely place to come back to over and over. Why would you want to recreate all the suffering? Wouldn't you eventually want out? So, speaking of the veil of forgetfulness, there are various conversations going on right now about how this earth is a prison planet and managed by psychopathic ETs. And they've created a soul trap where when you die, there are false guides who pressure or force the soul into reincarnating. So the soul can never really escape and go home. They're saying that even the other side, or the afterlife, is within this same prison. So by dying, you still don't escape. Well, personally, I just can't seem to go down that road. It doesn't seem to connect with anything I've come across, either in the knowledge I brought with me or in what I've come to know within this current life. However, my mind is very open to new information, new knowledge. So, who really knows? Maybe. Yikes. Yet, everything I've experienced through my receivership and contact has been loving and filled with beauty and light. I haven't personally, even in an out-of-body state, ever encountered negative or dark energies forcing me into a certain action or emotion, at least that I'm aware of. It's not that I haven't had nightmares or astral dreams, but I'm never trapped or in danger. So, well, what if I do fall into the belief that this is a prison planet with false beings of light forcing you to reincarnate over and over so that they can feed off your energy? Well, I've learned that what I put my attention on is going to expand and eventually become my reality. This is how it works, right? What you focus on grows. So, why would I choose to see my journey this way? I'm not saying that the world is all love and light. No. Anyone choosing to watch the TV news is going to see all the horrors that are available to anyone wishing a view of evil. It's all here. Yet, we are creator gods, and this is a planet of free will, such as it is. So as such, we have an opportunity to fabricate our own heaven or our own hell, paradise or torment. For most of my life, I have been accused of being a Pollyanna. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, it comes from a book, then a movie, about a little girl who was always an optimist, always seeing the best outcome to every event, no matter how tragic it may seem. Well, even my son playfully teases me about his sunshine and rainbows mom. And, usually it's just good-natured teasing like this. But there have been occasions when I've been hauled on the carpet, so to speak, for having my head in the sand. The ostrich syndrome. But to be honest, I have never yet found a good enough reason to be other than an optimist. I mean, why not? We already know what the alternative is. You know, each of us at one time or another has had a friend or relative who is always playing the victim, always seeing the glass half empty. If given a chance, no one would really choose to spend time with someone who's always whining about their misery. I can't get a break. My life sucks. Yet, it doesn't take a genius to see why their life is the way it is. A bad attitude only creates more of the same. Everything is energy, frequency, and any attitude or perspective holds its own oscillatory frequency. You know, from my perspective, I think the greatest gift we can give back to the universe is our own happiness. The Dalai Lama says the whole purpose of life is to be happy. Aristotle said, happiness is the meaning of life. Numerous sages and scholars throughout history have verbalized this same philosophy. Happiness is the way. Well, so that philosophy is obviously very different than the Earth as a prison planet. And with that, you can probably see why I might veer toward that happy scenario as a truth. Okay, so before you tell me I have my head in the sand, let me explain how I justify this outlook. It happened many years ago when I discovered that all of my unhappiness was always when I tried to buck the system, as it were. When I tried to resist or fight what was. After a while of being miserable, the thought came to me that what would it be like if I just totally surrendered and accepted life, my world, exactly as it was? What would that feel like? So I tested that hypothesis, and it took me a while, but I found that every time I was able to really surrender into the now and allow the universe to be exactly what it is, a feeling of tranquility flooded me. To accept whatever comes as appropriate, as just as it should be. To take on the understanding that nothing happens to me, it all happens for me. I figured that if I had the intent that I lived in a benevolent universe, it would eventually demonstrate this to me. And this is what I found to be true. And this is what I wanted to share with you. Life is what you make it. Life is how you see it. It really is true that you must believe it before you can see it. Once you surrender to what is changes. It adapts to the new tranquil frequency and builds your universe from within that new outlook. So what does this have to do with the recycling of souls I spoke of earlier? Why would a soul wish to live a life over and over again? Only if it were disappointed in that life. Only if it had regrets that they hope to remedy, to fix. Yet, if the soul was able to live a life of happiness without regret, they would have no inclination to repeat that same experience. They would move on. When one is able to accept life as it comes, even if that life might be preordained or predetermined, one can relax fully into the perfection of each moment and play the game from a place of childlike eagerness and excitement. You know, children never worry about what the next moment is going to bring. They're just tied to the present. You've all seen children in the middle of a war zone, soldiers everywhere, helicopters buzzing above, and these kids are out in the dust and sand playing kick the can and laughing joyfully. There's a reason that they are most always happy and playful, because they don't yet know regret. This is just life for them. They don't know anything different. Even if a child is disappointed because he didn't get that scooter he wanted for Christmas, it doesn't ruin his life. Kids don't wallow in grief and regret. They move on. And this is what I suggest for us all. Life is such a gift, just as it is. And only when we allow it to be just what it is, it becomes everything we could have ever hoped for. Take my word for it. Or don't. That's up to you. Anyway, just a thought. I love you guys. Bye.